area 1 o'clock.
Hey, hey, y'all. I hope that there's somebody there. Wait a minute. Okay, no, okay. All right, this is today's Metaphysical Matters. Kim, go ahead. Take it from there.
We don't have anybody with us yet, do we?
We don't?
I haven't seen anybody.
Well, it's going to be taped, so if anybody's there, let us know.
Yeah.
Still waiting on somebody to show up. Hello. I wonder if I actually have this turned on.
I don't. They usually.
Could anybody tell me if we're on? Yeah, there we are.
There we go.
So we were worried.
Let's just give it. We'll let a few more people join us before we get started.
What's that mean? Bring them on. Okay. Oh, we don't want to do that. Okay. Getting ready to start. Hey, Kathy. Hadn't seen you in a while. Kathy was my best friend when we were in junior high.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's neat. I'm in contact with one person from my high school time. My best friend, so that's a good person to still be in contact with.
Hey, Kim, it's been years. Tammy Wheeler.
Yes, hey! Oh, wow. Hey. Long, this has been decades, maybe. Wow.
We need to get in there. I don't know. Can you see us? Can y'all see us okay? Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Because we've been having all grades of issues. Hey, April. April, can you hear us, honey? Okay, Kim, we need to go ahead and start because this will be recorded and you can always, y'all can always look at it later on my site, AngelaFayeMoore.com or hillbillypsychic.us, same place. So, or on YouTube. I don't know what the name of my channel is on YouTube, but you can find it on YouTube.
Just search for, yeah.
Yeah, and this is, Kim is the host of this deal, so you take it from here, girlie.
Okay, here we go. This is Metaphysical Matters with Angela Moore. I'm Kim Clark, and Angela, last week, we started out with sharing a photograph that you took of what looks like a UFO right here across the street from you, and you asked me to bring the picture back today in case some folks didn't get to see it last time.
Well, last time we had such trouble with our video and audio that I deleted or hid and did not upload it to the other sites. So we're going to hit a few things that we might have mentioned last time so that hopefully, it's going to be where you can understand it.
Yeah, okay. So, I'll just let you talk about the photographs that you took, but this is the money shot right here. And you can see that's Mount Ida there in Marion. And that's
pointing, but nobody can see me point there.
Point on the picture.
I did. Oh, silly me. What did I do?
Yeah.
Okay, look right here. There was a picture taken before and after. There was nothing there immediately before, immediately after. And this was in there. And I thought maybe it's a bug, but it kind of jarred me. And I'm looking at the mountain the whole time. Nothing there. Blew it up, and you can see it's behind the power lines that are going through there. So I don't know what it is, but I thought it was interesting. I thought I would share it. I don't know. All I know is it's not visible to the naked eye, and it's going right over Mount Ida, and there it is for your amusement.
Or I would almost say into Mount Ida.
Yeah, into Mount Ida. That's what we were maybe thinking about talking about today.
Exactly. That's where I thought we could go with this. So we talked a little bit more about this remarkable picture last time. But let's say that object is going into Mount Ida, which brings up the whole idea of portals. Is Mount Ida a portal? But let me back up first and say, I've heard you talk about portals a lot, energy portals. How do you sense them? What are you talking about when you say that that there's a portal right there?
You've heard me say before, I felt a portal here and there, and I think that sometimes there are portable portals maybe that feel like it could be a place where otherworldly beings, spirits, whatever, because in my belief system, what I feel, it seems to be many worlds that are kind of layered, and they kind of are accessed through portals. And I think that maybe there are ways to open some portals by maybe other beings and other realms maybe, and maybe that's how they travel from one universe to another, one reality to another. So that's my guess as to how maybe this was a portal that opens up. Maybe there's something going down into the earth. There are stories of mountains over here, not Ida, maybe now Ida, but over on Highway 9 in North Carolina, where there have been all grades of things been seen by people. You know, people thought airplanes were crashing, but there were no crashes. And reputable people, law enforcement people, have told me that they were actually sent away by military people who told them, "You didn't see anything, go home."
On Highway 9?
On Highway 9 at Fairmont Woods. So there are a lot of portals, I think, that are natural, especially in the mountain areas and the foothills and all, because I think it's just a natural way the energy runs. And so I think that's why there are so many things and stories and tales and whatnot that go on from here. So I do think that there are portals that do exist, and there have been people that have written about them. You know, sometimes I think they're very good, sometimes not. I don't know, because as you know, I don't always read all these things. And why? I like to trust what I see, what I feel, what I know, and I know it's coming from my source. It's my stuff. I don't want to be influenced by what somebody else saw, then, you know, start thinking that I came up with that idea. Once I've got what I've got, I do like hearing other people's stuff. I do, and reading it and whatnot, but I need to know what I feel is valid because it's what I feel, not because somebody told me, you know. Anyway, that's just me, though. I'm kind of weird. But anyway, that's the way I perceive it.
So, in your experience, the way you sense it, are a portal, like if there's a portal over your house and it's just, the portal belongs in that physical space, do some portals go with people?
Oh, man. Now,
did I open up a can of worms?
Yeah, this weird, I think that there are some people that are living portals. Maybe even I have done that in the past. I actually think there was a time I could feel some energy come up through me and look through my eyes a long, long time ago. It's not normal. Do not freak out, people. But that sort of kind of thing happened. However, one time I was hanging out with her, and this weird thing happened. We were I had a little office in town, which was a haunted place and a whole nother episode. But anyway, I turned around and looked at her, and her face, I am not making this up, her face was gone, and instead of a face, it was space, like a night sky, like a dark black starry night sky. And I don't even know what to do with that. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Scared me. I mean, I actually fell back, and it was gone. It was never seen anything like that before or since. And the only thing I know to say about that is that maybe she is serving maybe as a portal herself, maybe at that time, or maybe I don't know. I don't know everything. I don't know how to interpret things that are that far, but, you know, somebody else might know. But that is my interpretation. I said, I think you're a living portal, and there, have that. Have that.
So if a portal is, you said at the beginning, you know, there are portable portals, but are most portals, of course you wouldn't know, just what do you think? What's your opinion? Are portals permanent in most
Some
places?
Some are, like for example, Brown Mountain Lights.
Ooh,
a lot of people, one of my friends told me to read something by who?
His name was Ralph Lale. You want me to just give a little background?
Yeah, she can do that for Brown Mountain Lights.
Well, it's just this little booklet that this guy wrote. His name was Ralph Lale, and if any of you guys are old enough to remember going up Highway 181 above Morganton toward Table Rock in the 50s to the early 60s, and I don't remember this, just barely missed that, being old enough to do that. He ran this place called the Outer Space Rock Shop, and he was close enough, he was right across, you know, from Brown Mountain, and of course saw the lights a lot at that time. They were visible. Lots of people were reporting seeing the lights then, and he saw them a lot himself, and then people would come in his shop that saw them, and he just decided he was going to go out and try to figure out exactly what was going on with them. And he was there one night, and one of the lights came near to where he was, and he said it was huge, and he sensed that there was consciousness in this light. It wasn't just a light, and he felt like he was given permission to follow it, which he did, and it led him to a rock which opened into a crystalline cave. The light went in and said, you can come, and I think maybe on the first time, but the second time he was allowed to go in. But anyway, long story short, his conclusion was, and what they told him was that the lights were actually coming through a portal on Brown Mountain, and they were coming from Venus.
There you are.
And now here's where it really departs, and you go, okay, maybe this guy was just nuts. And he said they came here to warn us that we were destroying the planet, and we had already destroyed another planet. The human race came from another planet that had been destroyed.
I've been saying that for years.
So
been
anyway,
saying, not from Venus. I have serious doubts about Venus. Okay, I don't know. I don't know, but I doubt it. It's not what I feel. Okay, but what I have said for years, just randomly, I think that our species, maybe in a different form, have traveled planet to planet, destroying it as we go. And we're already looking to another one, Mars, to make good, and then destroy probably came from there. I don't know. Because they say at one time it had water, and one time it was habitable. I wonder if we didn't, like, destroy it and come here. I don't really have a lot of fond things to say about people right now. I'm sorry. I love people, sort of, individually. But I have a hard time with the way we are as a group. You know, it seems like sometimes we forget all about how to love one another and how to be good stewards to our planet. And it makes me kind of scared and afraid. And it makes me kind of angry. But you know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? We've got to do what we can do. Not going to stay on that because I want this to be a good time, not a let's everybody get mad and go protest time.
Well, let me ask you this. Somebody sent this question in when you first floated out the idea that we're going to talk about portals today. Can you close a portal? Should you close a portal?
Yeah.
How would you close a portal?
I don't know. You just do. You just
Oh,
do.
okay.
And there. Problem solved. You can open them and you can close them. I've said this before. Imagination is the bridge from one reality to another. And if you can feel it, if you can sense it, and you know what you're feeling and sensing, you can imagine that and ask your angels or gods to help you to close that, so that sometimes there are mischievous spirits, lower level spirits that like to come and go and be annoying basically to people and pets and whatever else. And sometimes, you know, you need to close that so that they can't always through. Of course, I'm sure they could probably open another one, but whatever. It's always something. But yeah, you can close them, and that's how you do it, through energy manipulation, through your imagination, your intention. But, you know, don't be going around doing stuff like that unless you feel like you're called to do that. It's just best just live your life like a normal human being. Okay, go ahead.
Do you think animals pass through portals?
I believe we all living beings do.
The reason I asked that
energy.
question, and this may be totally off the beam, but I just noticed sometimes at my house, I live really near the woods, there'll be like 20 squirrels and in the yard, and then I'll go weeks and weeks, I don't see or hear one. It's like they just absolutely disappear, and then they come back en masse. Crows, I think in particular, seem to come and go out of this reality.
I don't know about a squirrel. Wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. But crows, yeah, I believe they do. I believe maybe a lot of things do that we're not even aware of it. It's like they did it. We just didn't see that. Just like we didn't see that with our naked eye. Maybe in the photograph, maybe there's all kinds of things that are coming and going. People even, you know, you look and there's somebody there and you look and there's not. So who knows? Again, a lot of this is probably above my pay grade. All I can tell you is, in my experience, I think there's probably doorways to other worlds that are used and sometimes abused by other entities and maybe inadvertently by ourselves.
Well,
you know, there's a story about some old guy that was in a field that just disappeared. They could hear him faintly calling.
I've heard that story.
He just disappeared. No holes, no nothing. And maybe that's what happened to him. Maybe he stepped through a portal that was open and then not open very briefly.
You may be familiar with this woman whose name is Barbara Marciniak. Some of you guys may be familiar with her. She has channeled the Pleiadians for decades.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And one of the things that she says about animals is that they can pass in and out of different probabilities, which would be another way of looking at a portal. You know, at every decision point in your life, the theory is that, you know, for every decision it is made in some reality. So there's all these different branches of your life out there simultaneously. Anyway, so she's saying that animals can go in and out of probabilities, and if you see a lot of wildlife in your world, it's actually a good sign they're choosing to be in this probability.
Okay, that's, I guess, a good thing to look at it. I know that for me, I think about that multiverse. I do believe there's a multiverse. That's another way of looking at it. And I do believe that there are things that might mirror this reality in ways that is, like I said, beyond what we can maybe understand at our current level.
Just one more question about the portals. Whenever I was at WNCW full time, and you used to come down there to record Metaphysical Matters, the radio version, you talked about how all of the...
In case you're wondering, my kid is off camera over there making all grades of hand motions at me.
And I can't see him, and so I'm like, what are you doing?
She's seeing me making hand motions.
I thought maybe she was giving me the old hook, like, okay, let's move on.
If you need to get something out of the fridge, you can quietly. Okay.
Anyway, whenever I was at WNCW, you used to tell me that we were a bit of a portal there because of all the electronic equipment.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm wondering, my question is, now everybody's house is full of electronic equipment. We've got signals going all over the place. Is that opening up portals?
Yes. Never occurred to me, but now that you say it, I want to say that resonates, and I want to say yes. I think that there are all grades of things that open portals. Mostly your intention and your imagination, honestly. But yes, I think that's probably the way otherworldly beings are traveling here interdimensionally. I think otherworldly beings that could be on another side of the universe, if they've not found a black hole or a super duper form of energy, they've just simply opened. They've simply opened a doorway into space. So going from there to here is simply as me going from this room to that room. That's what I perceive, not what I've read, what somebody's told me. That's my perception, to make all that clear.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about portals?
I don't think I have anything else to say about that at all.
Okay.
It's really not my forte.
Okay.
Except for what I've said and what I perceive. That's all I really know about it. You know a lot more about it than I do.
I really doubt that. Another item that came up when you asked people for questions or things that they might be interested in you talking about today was just a real basic question about astrology, just broad stroke, sun sign astrology, and how that affects relationships.
Okay, the reason, a lot of times people will come and see me, and I'm not an astrologer, but I know people who are, and I know what I feel, and I feel those vibrations. Everything exists vibrates, including when you're born. I don't know, I was just thinking about how sometimes somebody will say, well, I'm a Cancer, so therefore I would go well with the Pisces, for example. Or, I'm an Aquarius, I should never date a Scorpio. That's my husband and me. It's a lot of truth in that. But the thing is, what I have found, rather than looking at a book that says, okay, water signs should date other water signs and this, that, and the other, it's not that. It's like whatever you draw to you is something that's going to reflect you, but it's something you need. For example, Scorpio, since I just brought that up, is about transformation. Aquarius is about, and she's an Aquarius too, is about, I forgot what it's about because I'm not in my right mind right now, but it's about opening, I guess, your mind. Let me go with that. It's about being freed in your mind. And I think that's really scary for some Scorpios, but once they get out there, man, you don't know it's scary. But anyway, it's about those things that she might need or he might need, the energy of transformation. I might need the energy of going out on a limb so I don't get bogged down in my own despair or whatever, because that's the way they do. So there's an exchange of energy, and she's got an important Sagittarian in her life. So her Sagittarian is bringing freedom, maybe to push her out of a place of being stuck. And so we always bring each other something, so it's not, and you notice, and see, the reason I say this, I'll tell you the reason I'm saying this. I have noticed, and I'll give you an example. Somebody came to see me one time, and every single person that this girl was dating, and she had no idea that it was happening, was a certain sign, and they were every single one breaking her heart in exactly the same way. And then she realized that the one she was asking about, she called to find out the birthday, and some again, if it wasn't the same sign, she burst into tears. However, that one took, as far as I know, they're still married. Okay, so we will draw people to us who reflect us. And if you're interested in astrology, you might take notice that there might be certain sun signs that you're attracting over and over. And I've also noticed that they're in the families. If you look in a family, it's kind of bizarre how everybody in the family is born into, 2 or 3 different things. And if you take it further and look at like their sun, moon, and rising, again, or their house, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not an astrologer. I know what I feel with your sun, sun's, moon, and maybe rising, okay? But I actually do feel those. But, it's eerie. It's to the point of being eerie, how everything repeats, and it's like, so there's something there to it, beyond my pay grade, but there is something there, and it's just interesting to me. So don't try to confine yourself by dating somebody that's just in your little element. Let the universe guide you. Let your own good common sense and your own heart be your guide.
And this is kind of out of the realm of astrology, but still that whole idea of drawing people to you that bring what you need. I've noticed in family situations, let's say siblings, brother and sister, may draw to them partners who are very similar, because the brother and sister coming from a similar home environment are searching for the same balancing influence.
You do. That's a psychological thing. We always get the things that when you're little, whatever you grow up with is normal. So you will repeat that throughout your life unless you get a lot of therapy or learn differently.
Or sometimes you're going to draw the person, somebody into your life. It helps you balance out that energy that you had.
And
as a
if you're
kid.
drawing people in who are not in your best interest, people who are abusive or leavers, sometimes you got to take a time out and get therapy. I just like therapy. I'm telling you, I just do. But get time out, do some reflection, ask yourself, what am I getting from this? Maybe I'm getting a lesson in how not to repeat heartache. Sometimes you get beat down, and you get beat down, and you get beat down till you finally, oh wait, I don't need to do this anymore. So anyway, it's just a thought that I was going to share with you about people who like astrology and relationships, and because I get asked that a lot, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. The end.
Well, one closing thought about the relationship thing. I just kind of went through this with the death of somebody that I worked with. You sometimes find that somebody who's presented the most challenging relationship for you, in hindsight, you realize that might have been the greatest teacher that you've had.
That's how it goes. I found that in my own personal life as well. So that's what it's all about. We draw people to us who not only reflect us, but, who spur us to grow. It's like that just pushes us upward, and sometimes downward, but sometimes the downward ends up being a rebound into the learning. But, I think sometimes we make these lessons come a whole lot harder than we have to. A whole lot harder because we have been trained that we're not good enough, or that this is the way it's supposed to be sometimes when you're in a negative place. And sometimes it takes a whole lot of will and gumption and help to be a better parent to your inner child, to be a better parent to the vulnerable part of yourself, and allow that vulnerable part to grow and be all that it can be and what it should be, and not a victim of somebody else's whims, whatever.
Well, and as you said in one of our old radio, Metaphysical Matters, which I just went back and listened to a few days ago, if you have victim energy, you will draw a villain.
That's the way it goes. So again, you have to sometimes step outside, take time out, look and see what's going on if you're not happy with the way it's going. If you are happy with the way it's going, carry on. Carry on.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, you want to talk a little bit more? I feel like we're finished with the astrology.
Yeah, I'm done with that. It's just a word.
Okay. We had one more subject we thought we might talk about.
You are the queen.
Okay.
You, God.
All right. I'm decreeing we're going to talk about one other thing then. Because this is really interesting to me, and I bet a lot of y'all have got parents or somebody in your life that has dementia or Alzheimer's or that kind of issue. My dad passed away of pneumonia 3 years ago. But he had a really severe case of dementia, and that was one of the most painful experiences I think I've ever been through. Yeah. And I had the question all the time when I would be with him, what is going on here? Where is he? Because we're not occupying the same reality anymore, it seems like.
All I can tell you is whenever I feel somebody, first of all, going to little children, just for some reason that's triggering this thought. 0 to up 5 or 6, they're not real grounded in this world yet, and they're still very much linked to the realm, the spiritual realm from which we come, I guess you might say. So they are often able to see and know and feel much more than we are here. And I think the same thing sometimes when we leave this world, especially if we're leaving slow motion, dementia style. And I think what happens is, and this is interesting, by the way, and kind of off the subject, but I have a friend who lost her child, and she said I could talk about it. And I had felt that spirit, and long story. But anyway, she's a nurse, and in a nursing home, 2 separate people, unrelated, but who each suffered from dementia, asked her, was that her little boy that was coming to work with her? And when my mom passed, she was in a home, and my aunt sat up in bed who had dementia, and was actually in the same home, oddly enough, but she was unaware she had dementia. And she woke up and called her name 3 times the night that she passed, and she passed unexpectedly. So evidently she was able to see that. And oddly enough, also maybe off the subject, but this is true, you can look it up, very often people with severe dementia who are actually dying will become alert the last little bit of their life, and they cannot understand this because it should not be possible, and they will thank people who has been there for them. They have made phone calls to people to thank them. So something is going on there that we are maybe not always understanding, but what it feels to me, and this is the way I've experienced it with people, when they're in their body, the soul is in their body, they are like us. They're kind of trapped in there, and they experience what they do. The brain isn't functioning. They are very, whatever they are. But sometimes they step out, and what I feel is they're still attached. And this is sometimes true with coma people and stuff like that too. They're still attached, and when they're out, when we're in spirit, here we see like this. When we're in spirit, we see like this. We see the big picture. So when they're out, they are able to see and know and get it, but then you're not allowed to go yet, so they're back in, and they are, again, trapped in the realm of this world. But it does seem to me, and I have felt them, and that's why I'm sticking with what I'm saying, that sometimes they're in and sometimes they're out, and then finally, thankfully, they're allowed to go on about their way. But that's the best I can explain it.
Let me tell you this little odd thing that I found out about when my dad was at a dementia facility in Asheville. I was talking to the activities director there one day, and she told me about another patient there who had, his dementia was so advanced that he was just basically slumped in a wheelchair most of the time. And one day he woke up. He just kind of nodded off, and he woke up and he kind of flagged down one of the passing employees, and he said, "Where am I?" And he said, "You're at this facility here," and explained to him everything. And he said, he asked him several questions. "How long have I been here? Okay, what's going on?" Totally rational. And he looked at the employee and said, "When I go back to sleep, when I wake up again, I'm not going to remember this conversation, am I?" And the employee said, "No, sir, you're probably not." And he went back to sleep, and then when he woke back up, he was back in severe dementia. But for that 10-minute conversation, he was absolutely present. So that kind of dispels the whole idea that it's just brain damage and that there's nothing to be done.
To me, it says that there is the spirit that is at a higher level than what our physical body allows it to express. That's the best way I can put it.
Okay. And I also had experience with my dad too when he had dementia, that he saw spirits at the hospice facility where my mom was at that time, passing away of cancer.
That was my point when I was talking about the little kids, and I think I got lost in there somewhere, that they are reconnecting to the spirit realm, and so they are privy to things that we can't, and they do see and know and feel stuff, which that was the point of that.
So do you have any feeling about why the cases of dementia and Alzheimer's are so much more now than they were in the past?
I think people are living longer. To be honest, I think that's the number one. The number one cause is that people are living longer. People used to die of natural causes, I think, at a much earlier age, and now we're living with the help of medication sometimes to be, 90 and 100 is not uncommon at all, which means you're more likely to develop the diseases of old age. And then, of course, there are some of those meds that are keeping you alive even longer, but could also be doing brain damage or leading you down the path to the dementia. But to be honest, the number one cause, in my opinion, is simply we're failing to die on time.
Okay, well, on that note, is there anything else that you feel like you want to share this time out?
Maybe we'll be back, and I don't know how many of these we're going to do, and if you want us to do them, please let us know, because you know what, we haven't even had the things on.
I started to tell you,
and I don't know. Well, I'm glad to see there were some people watching.
Well, do you want to scroll back and see if there's anything that you want to address real
Let
quick?
me see if anybody's said anything here. No, nobody's asking anything yet. Okay. So I believe it's also lagging a little bit.
Yeah.
And I really, really appreciate y'all watching, and I put a link to some metaphysical matters so that you can go on there and listen to some of our old shows. Only had 12 episodes, and we did 3 years worth. But anyway, I appreciate y'all being there. And
well, and I just see a comment, I'm sorry, that's saying, Tracy says the spiritual realms are opening up more, and I have to absolutely agree with that.
Well, I believe we're hurtling towards I don't even know what the words are I'm looking for, a reality where that is going to be the case. So I have no argument with that. And thank you, Tracy. That's very nice of you. Also,
we're not
storming Area 51. Not going to happen. Although I would love to know if somebody did what they found in there. But I do think that we can travel, through thought, and we can travel to places maybe like that, but they also may have people who are traveling there to stop you. So I do believe we can travel psychically, And I do believe that there are people who are employed by the government, and I would love to have that job, by the way, if anybody's hiring, that you can, there's psychic warfare. That's what I'm trying to say. There's psychic warfare. The end. Non-negotiable. Just so you know. Anyway, again, in case I forgot to mention, because some of you know me, but maybe some of you have not remember who Kim is, but we had the show Metaphysical Matters on WNCW. Kim Clark, she's still on WNCW. You can hear her old shows on YouTube, and which is 60s music, and you can hear her new show, which is about punk music and stuff like that.
New wave more. It's not,
Okay.
It's not like the hardcore punk.
Okay, it's new wave. WNCW 88.7. You can look it up and see when Kim Clark is on, and she's really good. Okay.
All right. Well, it's been fun as always.
Hopefully we'll see you in a week or so. I hope to see you every week for a while. If y'all want us to, need you bit positive feedback if you do, and if you don't, just keep it to yourself. Okay.
And if you got any ideas what you want us to talk about, let us know.
Yeah, I like to know because, it's helpful.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.